Alright, hello once again, Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, back with part 2 of going over the Learn Git with BitBucket Cloud. And I stopped the first lesson for two reasons. First, was already 20 minutes in, and second, I forgot my password. So if that happens to you, what you can do, just so you are aware of this, you may care, you may not, but if you click down here, so I'm way down here at the bottom left-hand corner, you can click log out, because I stay logged in. But it didn't help because I didn't know what password to give the system. So then what I did was I went out and Googled to reset your password. All right. So it came back up and it asked me to log in, and there was a button there that said can't log in, a hyperlink, and I clicked that. It sent me a recovery link. When it did, it asked me to come in and put in a new password, which I did. All right, so now I'm back as far as I know. So, heading on to follow those steps. We did the clone the repository, etc. All right, so let's go back, do this again. So I'm right here, and I want to click plus, and I want to click clone this repository. You already saw this. I'm going to right mouse click and choose copy. All right, and I should be able to close that now. BitBucket displays the pop-up clone dialog. Yeah, did everything. I copied it. From your terminal window, paste the command you copied from BitBucket and press return. All right, so you'll see that it gave me an error here. So I'm not sure where I am. I don't have my prompt back, so I'm going to just literally get out. It says processes are running, close anyway. Okay. And probably not the cleanest way to do this, but I'm going to do it this way anyway. All right, so I'm going to... All right, you'll notice that it did bring it in, but I'm going to suppose that it didn't. So I'm just going to get rid of this. All right, so that's gone. Now, it was an empty repo, so it's not that big of a thing one way or the other. So I'm going to right mouse click on here, go back again to Git Bash, exactly as we did before. This bigger, right mouse click, choose paste. All right, hit enter. Now it's telling me that it's doing the cloning. Now again, it's going to ask me for the password. That should be it. Notice that can't log in. That's what it was before. So continue. Wow. Well, one of the reasons that I tape these things, like I'm doing right now, is in case something like this were to happen. All right? So it says an error occurred while sending the request. But it's funny because that said, there it is. So I'm not sure exactly where this stands right now. Loading into class demo, fatal, HTTP request. I mean, I understand somehow an error occurred, as it says, while the request was being sent. What I'm going to try to do, hey, I'll put myself out there. So here's the password. Okay. All right, there you go. So it looks like everything's cool. And if I ls now, there's my class demo. Okay, as far as I know, I'm all caught up. Sorry for that. Okay. If you experience a window password error, yeah, as it says, I didn't get that error. One thing that we should always do first, and I asked people to do this last week, this is something we should only have to do once, and that is this. The git config -- global user.name. So again, for me, it would be Jeff Scott, and it would be jpscod@rankin.edu. I should not have to do these. I don't think. It would hurt if I did. But it's, in many ways, it's redundant because I've already done it, and the claim is that you only have to do it once. All right, but I've got that stuff there. Maybe I'll have the class do it just to be sure as we start today. Okay? All right. So, let's see. At this point, your terminal window should look similar to this. All right. I don't think I even got a message that I cloned an empty repository. I did the ls. All right. And I did see my folder in it, as you saw. There was my ls, and I've got class demo. Again, they're asking you to call it something else. That's not a big thing one way or the other. All right. Step 2. Add a file to your local repository and then put this onto BitBucket. With the repository on your local system, it's time to get to work. You want to start keeping track of all this, whatever. Go to your terminal window, navigate to the top level, enter the following into your terminal window to create a new file that has content in it. So I'm going to just copy this. I want to do my CD to class demo because I want to put it in the right place. All right, and then I can paste this in. All right. So it says, if the command line doesn't return anything, which is what happened with mine, it means you created the file correctly. Get the status of your local repository. The Git Status command tells you about how your project is progressing. Now, one thing we never did here, and I'm going to just quickly double check this. All right, I was waiting for that git add, and that's what we're going to do. Okay, so, in fact, before we even do that, I guess I'm kind of curious in here. Did we ever have a git init? No, we don't even have to do an init, it appears. Okay, so we've done this. Get the status of your local repository. The Git Status command tells you about your project, how it's progressing. At this point, Git is aware you created a new file and you should see something like this. Well, let's look. So, Git Status. And it tells me I have made no commits. I have one untracked file. The one untracked file that I have, sorry about that. This is part 1 that's just been produced. So, the one untracked file I have is locations.txt. Locations.txt is the file I just created right here. So as it says, Git is aware that you created a file, so we do see something like this. It doesn't look exactly the same, but you get the idea. The file is untracked, meaning that Git uses a file not part of a previous commit. The status output also shows the next step, which is adding a file. Tell Git to add your new locations.txt using the git add command. Just like when you created a file, the add command doesn't return anything. What the add command does, though, look at this as a 3-step process, maybe even more. I guess even more than that. You start your Git session, you create your file or files, all right? But they are basically just kind of sitting, for lack of better words, sort of in file purgatory. Then you do the add, where you add one, some, many, or all of your files. Then you do the commit. All right, so we're going to do this git add location.txt. I could just as easily be copying it in myself. All right. Now, this is that LF. That means line feeds will be replaced by carriage return line feeds in locations.txt. And again, I believe at least you'd have to go and look up the area yourselves. Part of it is the inconsistency between Windows and Linux. Again, I could be wrong on that, but I think that I'm correct. All right. So we went through and it said the git command moves the changes from the working area to the git staging area. The git staging area is where you prepare a snapshot of changes before committing them to the official history. An important point, because Git is a software versioning system that is constantly taking snapshots or pictures of what you have done, and that's how it's keeping track of everything. All right, so it says again we are to check the status of the file. So they want us to do another Git status. Now you'll notice when we did Git status before, no commits, and we had one untracked file. When we do our Git status now, it's telling us we've got a new file in our staging area. It has not yet been committed. Very important point. It says now you can see the file has been added or staged, and you can commit it when you are ready to commit it. The status command displays the state of the working directory and the stage snapshot. Issue the git commit command with a commit message as shown below. Again, the -m is for message. So we're going to say git commit -m initial commit. And hit enter. Now it tells us a lot of things. Master root commit, so it's saying it's on the main level. It's giving us a number that's associated with this, an ID, and it's giving us the comment. It says one file has been changed and it has now been inserted. The mode has to do with the way that this is set up for, I believe it's read-write type of mode, and the way that it's set up for Linux. All right, and it's you, your group, and the world. All right, we'll maybe talk about that, just not right now. Okay. All right. So the git commit takes a stage snapshot and commits it to the project history. Combined with git add, it defines the basic what's called the workflow for all Git users. Up until this point, everything you have done is on your local system. So if we go back and look at our BitBucket repository for what I call class demo, there's nothing in there yet. All right, because what we have to do now is push the changes to the server. So remember, when we do this, we push to the server and we pull from the server. All right, so just kind of, if you would, please keep that in mind. Push to, pull from. All right, so learn a bit more about Gits and remote repositories. Git's ability to communicate with remote repositories is the foundation of its workflow. Git's collaboration model gives every developer his or her own copy of the repository with their own local history and branch structure. Users typically need to share commits. We're not going to worry about that because we're not sharing, at least not right now. You manage connections with other repositories. We're not worrying about that right now. Go back to your local terminal window, and now we're going to send the committed changes to BitBucket using git push origin master. Git push means we're pushing to a server. We want to push it, that server by default is referred to as origin, and its main level is master. So it says this command specifies that you are pushing to the master branch on BitBucket on origin. All right, so I'm going to just again grab this, whoops, or try to. It's no biggie if I have to type it in myself. Copy. I've got a period on the end there I'm going to have to remove. So git push origin master. Again, it's asking me for my password. Now it's telling me that it did go through and do this, as far as I can tell. All right. It says your commits are now on the remote repository. So go to our BitBucket repository. Okay. If you click commits in the sidebar, you'll see a single commit on your repository. There's our initial commit, and that was the number that was given. And it said it did it 3 minutes ago. So if you click commits like we just did, you'll see a single commit on your repository. BitBucket combines all the things you just did into that commit and shows them to you. You can see that the author column shows the value you used. If you click source in the sidebar, you'll see that you have a single source file in the repository, the locations.txt. There it is. Remember how the repository looked when you first created it. It probably looks a bit different now. And it does, meaning that it originally was empty and now it has something in it. All right. Let's check my time here. All right. I'm up to pull changes from your Git repository on BitBucket Cloud, which means I am on page 16 of about 25. I think, again, I'm going to stop right here. All right. Maybe I'm not there. I don't know. But I'm going to stop right here and continue on in part 3 in just a minute.